Hey friends, this is Lindsay. I am a coach and my coaching practice is Coaching Life Alchemy. And today I'm going to talk about commitment. And that's a topic that's in several of my videos. And really to me, it's just, I have like a love-hate relationship with commitment. And it's, no matter how much I sometimes don't like it, it's still like the underpinnings of anything really moving forward. So, I'm going to talk about the 3 stages of commitment, but I really just want to talk about the 3rd stage, but we'll get there. So, the first part of a commitment is really getting in tune with what is it that I'm committed to. Like, the whole process of what do I want, what would that look like, what would that feel like, kind of designing it, articulating it, nailing down the details, and landing in the commitment, and starting the process. So, putting it into motion, starting to, hit those growing pains of oh man, it would feel like I got to do this and I got to do that and this is going to feel so hard, and just those beginning kind of like stretching and bumping into the walls of it and figuring it out. And then stage 2 is where it finally becomes like a new routine. Like, oh wow, I got this. I've been doing it for a little bit and I kind of forgot that I was even in this commitment. Because you've hit a rhythm and it's eked its way into your comfort zone and it's just kind of flowing. And these are really simplified. And stage 3, for me, is completely my favorite because this is where the magic happens. Stage 3 is either completion, yay, or where you realize I'm at the part where I need to be in completion, but I'm not there. Like there's a big gap between where I am and where I said I would be. So then what? And the then what is that's the key part. So for a lot of people, when we hit that part of oh my God, I gotta be there and I'm here, we quit. We decide we're not enough, I knew I kind of wouldn't do it anyway. I've tried this 10 times before and it never worked out. And notice the next time that you come into this, notice what stories you tell yourself. Well, I can just try it again later. Or it's impossible. We say all kinds of things. And part of why I want you to notice what it is that you actually say to yourself is because it's probably something very familiar. We rarely say something to ourselves in that moment that's new. It's usually a very old story, which is kind of the first hint that it's not real. It's just comfortable. It's just our go-to. So rather than go to that, you might go to that, but then get through it and choose something else. Actually looking at what would it take to have this goal happen? Who would I get to be to really deliver on this? And basically it's like the hustle of delivering, but not just what you'd have to do, but really the magic is who you get to be. So looking at wow, if I wanted to, I don't know, let's give some examples. If I wanted to lose 5 pounds in the next week or 2 weeks, if I wanted to make $1,000 by Wednesday, if I wanted to have a boyfriend, by Christmas, looking at anything and really getting real about what would it take? Okay, I'd have to be committed. I'd have to go on a bunch of dates. I'd have to go to the gym every day. I'd get to apply for 7 jobs. I'd get to say yes to any opportunity that came up. I'd get to have to start talking to people. So all of that is backed by passion, courage, trust, outrageousness, being wild about what you said mattered. And when you think about, okay, who would I get to be to bridge that gap? Or what would it take? And then just feeling what that version of you would feel like. And getting tuned in to how you would get to be, what that outrageousness would really be if it embodied you. That moment, that right there, that's the magic. Because now you have reinvented yourself. Rather than accomplish a task, you're actually entering into the part that transforms you. And I really believe that there are certain goals that call us forth, certain things in our heart that we really, really want. That part of why we want them is it has us 100% confront ourselves such that we have to transform. We have to expand. The only way to get there is to be a bigger, better, spectacular version of myself. And that's the purpose of the goal. Like, it's an illusion that it looks like it's about achieving that thing, which is great to achieve. But the real purpose is that it grows me. Like, it's such a win-win. And that's the magical part. So in The Alchemist, one of my favorite books, he talks about how everybody has their own personal legend, like their deep purpose to fulfill in life. And that when we pursue our own personal legend, like the moment before we get there, everything we've learned along the way gets tested. So like that moment before accomplishing, everything we've learned is going to get tested. Everything's going to come up. And that's usually the point where people back down or make up a story about why they can't have it. Versus like, hey, I got this. And walking through each of the lessons they've already learned to step into being the person that would live their personal legend. So it kind of parallels what I'm talking about, but I think you get the gist of it. And this is actually one of my favorite parts about coaching people and working with people. Well, all three stages are really important when you dive into them in a meaningful way. But this last stage to be in like, hey, this is actually why you came here. This is why we're working together. This is the moment you've been dreaming of, is who it would take for you to complete it. And staying in the opportunity to deliver. It's beautiful. And on the other side, it's like, wow, I was that person? I could do that? Because you've tapped into a piece of yourself that you maybe didn't know existed. And then once you've tasted it, felt it, touched it, you have it. It's now a part of you, something that you know you can access again in the future. So I encourage any of you out there to maybe relook at some of your commitments and see what might be being called forth in you to deliver and how you'd get to expand that. And if this piques anybody's interest around your own commitments or what part of you might get to be activated, call me, text me, message me. I would love to have a conversation with any of you about what this might be for you, such that you really soar towards what matters to you and your own personal legend. So that's it for now. Have a good weekend. Big kiss. Bye.